Welcome to Driven, the Unscripted Success podcast, with your hosts, Mike Menino and Nariman Hamden, bringing you insights and stories on achieving personal, professional, and financial success.
Hi, everybody. It's Michael Menino, and welcome to Driven Unscripted Success podcast. Today on the podcast, we're interviewing professionals who share their experience with you, the audience, and how they got to where they're at today. And zooming from the beautiful islands of Fort Myers, Florida, is Telena Paris. How you doing, young lady?
I'm good. Thank you so much, Michael.
Hey, listen, I tried to put down what you do. I did. There was a valiant effort in it, but I mean, you're an author. You have several businesses. Could you do me a favor and explain to the audience all of that for me?
Sure. Simply put, I sit in C-suite for a few companies. I have two companies that I own and a nonprofit that I have with my better half. And so in my two companies, I own a learning institute as well as a business and management consulting firm. And we do C-suite fractional placement as well as business and infrastructure and development. And the Learning Institute, we provide CEUs for professional development for major companies, small businesses, and nonprofit organizations for their employees and leadership teams. My mentorship program that we own, which is Dream to Lead with Christopher Dora, who's my other half, we mentor to over 600 students per year in various ways, in our age groups that we serve are 11 to 24.
Very nice. How long have you been doing this?
So my businesses have been open over 8 years. The nonprofit we have had for a little over 2 years, but I've been sitting in C-suite for almost 18 and a half years.
Now, what is C-suite for the people that don't know?
Sure, no problem. So chief level leadership, it could, right now I hold chief executive officer. I've done COO, chief advancement officer positions as well.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So with dealing with risk, how do you take risks and what is your process for dealing with risk?
Oh, great question. So one of the things that happens is really doing a risk assessment and analysis. I think that's extremely important. I don't think that just because it sounds good, you should do it. I do think that you should measure the level of risk, but I do also think that risk is extremely good for businesses' growth opportunities as well as advancement. So what I do, it literally is depending on what we're trying to take a risk. So we'll go for if there's a client that needs infrastructure and development, and it may be a risky business, more so analyzing the businesses, the health and wellness of the business, looking at it from a high level and saying, okay, is this going to be a win if you continue on the way you are as far as the growth opportunity, or do we need to stop, take a moment, take a pause, and really work on the foundation of the business so that you can hold the growth that's trying to happen? So that's just one measuring tool that we have. I mean, there obviously is so much more. Another risk is we write grants and we also help companies bid with the government. And that's a risk within itself, because if you're depending on outside funding, it's not guaranteed. So making sure that you understand that you dot your I's, you cross your T's, and that whatever funding opportunity you're going after really does line up with the mission and the vision of the business, and that what you have to offer will fulfill the need of what the request is. So that's another level of risk. But these are all assessments that happen and analyzations that happen before even embarking on trying to go after the risk opportunity.
So you can notice that some people get analytic paralyzation when they hear all the risk. They're like, it freeze like a deer caught in a headlight.
Happens all the time. Everybody, where it happens the most for me, I see it often, is funding, right? When people need extra additional money, whether it be through lending, investments, or through grant opportunities, or even just bidding as a vendor. It sounds great on the table because what you do is you hear the number first, right? You're like, I know I need 1.5, or I need, $500,000, or I need 3.5 million, or, the funding source says your ceiling is $5 million. So people get excited. They're like, oh my God, I can go out the 5 million, but not realizing what it takes to even obtain that. Is that, a lot of times you have to have match funding, or if you don't have match funds, you got to do the work. And then when they start realizing what type of work and what the volume is, then it gets really shaky, or that the fact that if they don't do what they need to, they have to return it. And they're like, well, wait a minute. And these are different elements and I'm just going really high level because obviously there's intricacies within that causes that paralyzation that you mentioned.
Right. Yeah. I've seen that a couple hundred times. Every time you tell somebody something that, you got to tell everything. You got to, share the good and the bad of everything that you do. And then the look on their faces always go, oh, yeah, this is the hard part for you. Right.
Right.
So everybody's had some bumps in the roads. Can you share a time that you've had a bump in your road and how you worked through it?
Oh my gosh. So, I'll mention it.
Pick one, right?
Because people think because you sit in leadership. So a common misconception is that if you are a leader, you sit in high level leadership positions, that everything runs smoothly. You have it all together. You know all the answers. And literally, that couldn't be the furthest thing from the truth, right?
Pretty much.
I always say, and my doctors and my lawyers out there, don't get mad with what I'm about to say, but there's a reason why they call them a practice. Okay, and we'll just leave it at that, right? So, but it doesn't stop with the lawyers and doesn't stop with the doctors. It really does transcend throughout leadership and the people that lead ships and teams and in organizations. And so a time that I've had is when I had this brainchild. I was like, oh, it was my very first retreat. I want to do my retreat. I'm going to have the top leaders. I'm going to have all the people that I want there. I'm going to have 800 people show up. And I mean, like I had a plan. The plan was well written.
Everybody has a plan.
The budget was well written. Everything was done. I even had the people committed. And what I did not plan for is the funding sources not being as flexible as they normally are when it comes to impact, right? Impact for adults is so much harder to fund than it is for impact for children. It's really weird, especially if they're impact for adults that are not from impoverished backgrounds, or there's no stigma associated with the individual. If we're talking about regular human beings are so much harder to fund than a person that comes from a very challenged background or
Really?
environment. Because you're well, you're meant to, according to the doctor, you're mentally good. You're stable. You should have a job, so you should be able to afford to do this on your own. Why should I? You have to kind of prove the impact. And so where it was is that it's not that it can't be done. My time scale of impact, improving the impact and how it would affect the well-oiled machine of people that I was trying to actually get funded, I tried to do it within 9 months, and really I needed to have 18 months to get that funded. And so when it hit the roof, it really hit the roof, because not only do I have international and top national speakers committed to this retreat, not only do I have people really wanting to show up, but because we were looking for funding to help cover a cost, that wasn't a variable that we took a good risk on, right? Because we thought 9 months, we had a year, we took 9 months to actually do the funding, and we really needed more time just because we were new in the game. Had we had a presence, wouldn't have taken as much time. We would have had the relationships along with what we were trying to do, but we were embarking onto a new venture within the business. And so therefore that's when a high risk. Now, did we do it? We sure did. We pulled it off, right? But let me tell you, it was the most nerve-wracking, teeth-biting, gnawing on the nails experience. I mean, the stress that I had, that, the cortisol that was going through my body every day, and just I was like a cat on edge. And so when it was done, I was like, it was supposed to be a retreat, and I was supposed to be relaxed, right? And I couldn't wait for the retreat to be over. I was so done. But it set the pathway to be able to continue to do those things right, and to guesstimate and really look at, simplifying the process, not going so over and beyond and luxurious, but being able to look at where we were and pace ourselves, and then kind of grow into that as we moved on through the years, and versus starting right there. So that was one area where I was just like, oh my gosh, what do we do? But
what do we do next?
Not giving up. I was like, I'm not giving up. I'm not throwing in the towel. So it's happening, but trying to make sure we maneuver that challenge was really intense.
I love what Will Smith said one time. He goes, he had a good analogy. He goes, I don't quit. There's no quit. If me and you are on a treadmill, we're running until I die or you get off. That was just a great way of putting it. The tenacity.
Yes.
Hey, listen, leading a team is challenging, right? So, what is your leadership style? And can you give us some examples and how it helped you through tough times?
Yeah, so I'm very assertive, but transformational leadership is definitely where I live. I live to transform people, things, organizations. I think that's just kind of what I speak to in its truest form, is making sure that stabilization is like where I am at. And so sometimes leading teams that don't have the same vision, they have the same end, but not the same vision of arriving, can be quite challenging, because we live in a market where there's so many different ways to do the same thing, and or to end at the same result, but to get there differently, right? There's so many
Mhm.
vehicles. And when you leave a team over 5 or 10, it can get really, especially if you have multiple leaders in the environment, you have to learn, one, how to work effectively, and you gotta put ego aside. You just do. You know what I mean? Even me being in chief roles and leading, I still take a step back and listen. Because just because my idea is great, it may sound good, and I'm never going to say that it's not amazing. However, that doesn't mean it's the right way,
Mhm.
always. And so, as long as we are able to get to that end result, and the most effective, way of arriving there, I think having that flexibility. And so I can say the younger Telena versus the Telena today, the younger Telena had a chip, like, oh, you're not listening to me, or you're not listening to my ideas. I think I was more connected to it because I was so enthralled in it, right? It was just like it was who I was. It was part of my identity. And I think as I've grown, I started to release these projects, these programs of being my identity versus being a part of the network, right? And so once you allow
Mhm.
to have them live in the network, and it's a part of the universe and what you're living in, versus being a part of who you are and your identity, it makes it that much easier to be flexible. So flexible thinking is huge. And I think that goes in relation to transformative leadership. It's being able to have flexibility within thought process, within growth process, within working with others. And so for me, I think over the years that has helped me now, where I can sit in and I can sit with the CEO, CAO, chief, executive officer, chief advancement officer, chief technology officer, chief, information officer, or whomever it may be, and sit at the table and feel confident in my position, that even if I present an idea and it's not taken, but we use someone else's idea to get to the end result and we can all work together, I think that for me is growth. I think for me that's stabilization, because you don't want to be the person that everyone depends on. What happens when you have a day when they can't depend on you? You make the entire system weak. But if you create an environment where everyone has a part of the pie, you can continue on the cycle no matter where we're supposed to be. And I think as I've gotten older, knowing that one day I'm not going to be here, right? You know what I mean? As much as I want to be here forever, one day I'm not going to be here. So how do I set myself up? How do I set my team up? How do I set the organization up for great succession? And so that's a part of the leadership. Everything that you do should be done with the idea of succeeding, right? So of how do you pass that on so that the next generation of who you are can arrive and really thrive and grow and take it to the next level. And so that's where I'm at in life. I think I can say that.
Now, what did you say? What did you say? Flexible leadership or flexible
Flexible thinking, right? So
thinking?
being able to be flexible in thought and process, so that people can have the opportunity to be able to work with you. I think when you're flexible and you're able to bend a little bit and you're not so rigid, when you're so rigid, it makes things so hard, because and not even just for
Yeah, I
yourself,
agree.
but for the environment, you know?
Right. Yeah. And I remember I was in a leadership class one time, and General Norman Schwarzkopf, the one that did through Desert Storm. No, Colin Powell. Colin Powell. He was an integral part of Desert Storm. he said, I get my generals together and then we have a task and we decide what the task is. I hear everybody's input on it. And then he goes, when I'm done, I'm going to make a decision on whoever had the right idea. And then we're going to have to take his idea like it was our own.
Right.
Embrace it like it's our own.
Exactly.
And that makes the team come together like instantly. And they get the process done relative. I know it was a great concept. It was one of the greatest things I learned about leadership. And just pretty much what you're saying, and flexible thinking in that process, because, not everybody has the answers, but in the group, you might have somebody that has the best answer.
Right. We all have great ideas. We're all ingenious in our own right. At least I think so. I think we're ingenious in different ways, but we have things that we're really good at. But sometimes we have things that we're really great at. Some things we have things that we're really exceptional at. And other people do too. And sometimes creating the balance, it doesn't mean that your thought process wasn't exceptional, but what is going to be the best fit for the best outcome for whatever it is that you're working on, whether it be organization, project, program, whatever it is, even relationships too. I think if we were able to get this together in all of these types of relationships that we have, friendships, personal relationships, familial relationships, work relationships, if we were able to really hear one another and really honor people for their strengths and then create that cohabitation based off of balance, flexibility, and collaboration, man, there's the key to marriage already, right?
There you go. Collaboration. There you 100%. You nailed it. Hey, when you think back, and has there been any moments that really changed the game for you in your career?
In what way? Good or positive or negative? Let me ask that.
That's the question. So I would assume something that you did that really changed the game and made everything easy for you.
I opened my own business.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
You are, before we jumped on here, we were, having some small talk. I was telling you about me starting work when I was 14 years old and kind of starting in leadership and just kind of going through life that way. And I always worked for someone or some organization. And every time, even though I was in leadership roles, there was a ceiling for me. So I could only reach a certain level. And I knew internally that my reach and my God-given talent was greater than what was the box that was given to me. And so some people work well in leadership as an employee within the structure that's been given to them. I have always been one to break ceilings and evolve them. And so when I knew I had reached my peak, I said, well, people sometimes like, well, I reached my peak, I stop. And I was like, I'm not done. I felt that moment. I'm like, I still have more to offer. I still have more things that I want to accomplish, and I want to have a wider reach. And I think where my freedom came in was when I opened, terrified as I don't know what, by the way. The biggest risk was to leave a constant paycheck and to embark on having to make your paycheck on a regular basis. I think that for me at that moment was my aha moment, my epiphany moment, where I said, okay, the sky truly is the limit, and I can go as far as I want, and I can help as many people succeed in their dreams and opportunities too. And I found such great fulfillment seeing the businesses, the individuals, the leaders, whomever I was touching grow and actually have an opportunity to think outside the box and realize that they too could live a limitless lifestyle as well if that's what they chose. But it was nothing wrong with if they wanted to be an employee. It was nothing wrong if they wanted to be in the constraints of a structured environment. And there's definitely nothing wrong with entrepreneurship. So having people realize who they are and really accepting that and then advancing in that, I think for me, that was my moment of like, this feels really good. So.
A little scary too, right?
Oh God, yes. It always is. I mean, whenever you become an entrepreneur of any sort, and that is your only stream of income, Oh man, and don't have responsibilities. Don't be a mom for goodness sake in the middle of all that, or have
There you go.
responsibilities of a dog or who whatever it is your responsibilities are, whether it just be rent or a house payment or a house note, whatever, or car payments, whatever it may be. It can be really challenging if you don't know where the next client is coming from. But there's a cure for that too. Because if you really own who you are and what your business is, you start to not worry as much because you know that you're good, and if you know that what you're doing fulfills a gap too. A lot of times people start
Yeah.
something and they don't know their market. And so we're talking about market right now, right? If they don't know their market and where they fit in at, but they do something really well, they could literally be in, I don't know, in Death Valley. I'll call it that because it's dry as I don't know what out there. There's nothing out there, right? You're it's like, I don't want to drive through there. But they could literally be in Death Valley and they say, I'm going to launch a business. And they're like, okay, well, I'm going to launch a flower business in Death Valley. Probably not the place that you want to do that
No.
because it's dry. Nobody hardly ever comes out there unless it's like a festival or some sort, right? And so, but now, if you just said, I want to open up a gas station in Death Valley,
Mhm.
people pass through there all the time. Guess what's going to happen to that gas station? They're going to do pretty decent out there because there's nobody else out there. So they monopolize. So knowing what the gap is and the area is for what the need is that in that area is so important. And so for me, it became easy when I realized who really needed what I have and how I market to them. It made those nights that were hard to kind of swallow the pill that I was doing it on my own a lot easier because I knew there was a need. When you know where your need is and you know where your market is, it makes it that much easier. And that's just homework.
Nice. Nice. I like that. So what's on the horizon for you? Any good big goals, projects you're excited about?
Well, right now, so I told you that we have our mentorship, when it comes to businesses wise, we have just launched our second year of curriculum. I told you we're in our second year and it has taken off. We've partnered with some major brands such as Pepsi. We've partnered with Coca-Cola in the past. We've partnered with Publix. We've partnered with a lot of local health institutions and schools and organizations and Wawa and and some of the top national brands that are out there or even regional brands that are out there. We were able to do that, and where we're excited at is that we're finally rolling out our curriculum that's per annum, and that annum is including taking kids to NASA Kennedy Space Center. So we have that coming up in November. We're also taking them to do marine biology in the Keys next spring, and we're also taking a group to Washington D.C. And also in the late spring, early summer area. So we're really excited about that. So really amping up how many children we serve per year. We have clinics and tutoring and things like that. So I'm really excited because what we're doing with that project is that we're creating our future leaders of tomorrow, really leaving a legacy and really pouring into all children. We don't specialize in one group or another. We really focus on all youth. So it doesn't matter if they come, from a well-endowed home or a home that is challenging when it comes to economic resources. We service all youth and really creating and curating experiences for them to learn early. You remember I told you when I started at 14, I had opportunities to learn early. So what I want to do is kind of pass down, maybe not force them into work or whatnot, but maybe give them the opportunities to be able to kind of pick and choose. So when they arrive at 18, 19 years old, and they're going off to figure out if they're going to college or being scouted or any of those sorts, they now have an idea of a concentration of where they want to begin their adult life. And for me, I think that's so important, and grooming the future leaders to really be able to think outside the box. No leader should think the same. I think there's groups and styles of leadership, but as far as what we do, I think we need to really get back that individualism of being creative and sparking ingenuity and innovation and having these kids think outside the box versus a test. Tests are good, measurables are good, but I also think that really creating those new innovators, I can't wait to see what they're gonna do with the help of what we're pouring into them. And so that's one of the things. And then obviously, maintaining and still helping small medium-sized businesses really with growth opportunities, and training any individuals and people that are out there that need professional development training, making sure that they have their proper training per year for whatever industry they're in. I think those are the things that I have on the horizon right now, besides the fact of touring with my book. I'm an international speaker as well, so I travel quite a bit speaking in empowerment as well as in leadership and in entrepreneurship. So I think that's what's on the horizon for me. And then just being a mom, being a good one, right? So being able to be there for my little ones, and making sure that that 15 turning 16, her last 2 years of high school are amazing for her, so that she can really embark into adulthood the right way, or at least a good starting point. I can't even control where that's going to go in the future, but hopefully hopefully in a good way, right? And
well, with a mom like you, she has little chance of failing.
Well, everybody, I appreciate that, but whatever her story is, I just pray to God that I'm there to be a constant and a foundation for her, or for them both, so that they have something, one, obviously example of how to lead their lives, how way they choose, but also being able to know that they have a support system. Because I think anything we do and leaving it here, whether it be through leadership, whether it be through running businesses, whether it be through taking care of families, everyone needs a support system. And I absolutely love what you're doing here, because it allows for leaders to share their experiences and really pour back into our communities, which hopefully is food for thought. Little nuggets here can really help somebody in advancement and really pour into them. So I appreciate your platform as well too, Michael. Thank you.
Oh, cool. Thank you. I appreciate it too. I love it too. I got nothing but great guests and great people that I've talked to over the episodes, and it's also helping me out too. Gives me some great advice too. So it works out. It's a win-win situation for everybody.
Yes, for sure.
Talking about nuggets, if you've got one that you'd like to share, and would someone like to follow in your footsteps, what would you tell them? What nugget would you give them?
I have a classic saying that I've been saying for so many years. God, I guess it'd probably be 27 years now. And it's this phrase. It says, some will, some won't. So what? Next. Some will support you. Some won't support you. So what? Keep it moving to next. You can apply that to everything that you do. Some will love you. Some won't love you. So what? Next. Some will follow you. Some won't follow you. So what? Next. You know what I mean? You put it in every application. Some projects are going to work. Some projects are not going to work.
Not going to work.
So what? Next. Because that allows you, going back to what Will Smith was mentioning, I guess, that you've watched, is that you just don't stop. Just don't stop, right? Go to the next. If it didn't work out, so what? Don't live there. Don't live.
Oh, people die there.
People do.
They it drives me nuts. I'm like, get up and keep going. Don't stop. That's I teach martial arts too, and every time everybody gets knocked out. And when they're on the ground, I'm like, it's okay to get knocked down. It's not okay not to get up. And I pull them up and let's keep going, because I know how it feels. The ground feels good.
It does.
When you get knocked down, it does feel good.
It's easier to be there.
It's easier to be there. Exactly.
It's easier to be there. It's so much harder to keep going.
Getting back up, and getting back up, and getting back up, and getting back up, and getting back up every time. Just one quick question for you. So it sounds like everything's going great. Wondering what you do to in your businesses to create passive income, and if you've done something like that in the past.
For passive income? Oh, I mean, I'm always looking for opportunities for passive income. I'm a human being. Okay. So,
right.
I mean, I have 2 kids. I don't know if I told you. So, and they're girls. And they're girls. So just in case.
And their girls are expensive.
So, I think that's why I have the different the different platforms that I have. And God has blessed me where I have flexibility to do other things, because I'm not just doing it all by myself. So that's always a win there. But I think there's always an opportunity for growth. I don't look at it as flexible opportunities. I look at it as growth opportunities. Not all of them are going to work. right? Some of them are going to work really well, but some of them are not going to work at all. But I think being open to kind of see how you can stretch the limit of what your capabilities are is always a good thing.
Agreed. Agreed. So if for anyone who wants to dive deeper with you and connect with you, how would they do that?
So I have a website, and it's actually my name, telenaparis.com, TELENAPARIS.com. You can always go there. There's a contact form there. You can always contact me on LinkedIn. If you want to reach me by phone, I do have a business phone number, which is 954-372-5426. That's 954-372-5426. Please use it for business because it is a business number, and sometimes I'm not the only person answering it, just so that you know.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
So just to kind of put that out there, but I think, and then if you want to reach me, like I said, the best way is probably the website. I'm Google, you can search me up on all types of search engines that are out there to kind of find out what it is they do. If you want to find my book, it's The Startup Whisperer, how to start your business without, or grow your business, without losing your mind. So I think that is something that you can do. You can always catch me out at a talk, a workshop. I do some free workshops that are out there, some free conferences for people to attend that are out there. You can always look it up. My website is being updated by our IT person right now to show the upcoming engagements that I'll be at, as well as locations across the country. So people can always contact and show up there if they want. But I'm pretty much an open book. I'm pretty accessible.
Nice. All right. Well, listen, I can't thank you enough. We're going to say goodbye to the audience, and then we appreciate your time here and sharing your insights. Thanks you again, young lady.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me. And for all those who are listening, Michael is amazing. And please continue to follow his platform. He has such great, food for thought with all the wonderful business leaders he has out there. I'm so excited to be a part of this today. Thank you for having me as a guest. And thank you all for listening. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Driven, the Unscripted Success Podcast. Want to share your story? Apply to be a guest at drivensuccesspodcast.com/guest.